have made their decision. They hired former Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken to be their next head coach. Under Monken's tutelage, Lamar Jackson won his second MVP award in 2023. He was a first-team All-Pro, and he finished runner-up in 2024. In Cleveland, Monken will inherit a cluttered quarterback room, including two 2025 draft picks, Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. We welcome in all the football guys here. With Todd Monken now hired, 8 of the 10 head coaching vacancies this cycle have been filled. This leaves just 2 remaining openings, the Cardinals and the Raiders. All right, Adam Schefter, we welcome you in on this Thursday morning. Let's empty the notebook a little bit. What are all the tentacles that you're hearing here now that the Browns have hired Todd Monken?
Well, the Browns made their choice, and they did so to elevate their offense. They feel like bringing in Todd Monken will improve their play on the offensive side of the football. But by hiring Todd Monken, they created 2 notable issues, one for them and one for the New York Giants. Theirs is on the defensive side of the football, where Jim Schwartz, their defensive coordinator, was a finalist for the head coaching job that went to Monken. And after they chose Monken, Jim Schwartz had a long talk yesterday with the Browns general manager, Andrew Berry. And my understanding is I don't think Jim Schwartz is a happy guy that he didn't get this job. He was bypassed. Just think of anybody in any situation when they don't get the promotion that they're looking for. Are they going to want to stay with that company? Probably not. And so the Browns would love to keep Jim Schwartz and love to pair him with Todd Monken, and they believe he's got 2 years left in his contract. But if you don't want to work and you don't want to fulfill the terms of your contract, you're just not going to show up. So the Browns right now have an issue on the defensive side of the football. The other issue is with the New York Giants, who thought that Todd Monken would be going with John Harbaugh to New York to run the offense, to make life pleasant for Jackson Dart. And now the Giants have got the head coach they wanted in John Harbaugh, but they don't have somebody to run the offense, somebody that they were hoping and planning to have. And now the Giants have gone into a full search mode to go find a new offensive coordinator that they didn't think that they would have to be looking for. And it puts them in a tough position on the offensive side of football. It puts the Browns in a tough position on the defense side of football. And with every move that's made at this time of the year, there's always the ramifications that come from that one move, the ripple effects.
The butterfly effect of it. Hawk, I ask you, what are your thoughts on Todd Monken being the head coach in Cleveland over maybe 35-year-old Nate Schillhouse or Jim Schwartz?
I think it's less of a risk than you go with the very, very young guy, at least from that perspective. And you look at Todd Monken, he's a guy that the Cleveland Browns have familiarity with. He was an OC there. And you look at the issues that they've had over the years. They've always had an incredible defense. So from their thinking, if we're able to somehow keep Coach Schwartz intact, which has done an incredible job on the defensive side of the ball, been one of the top defenses, personnel is handled by the front office. We need a guy to stabilize the offense and command a room, right? So when you look at Todd Monken's background in the NFL and places he's been an offensive coordinator and all the years that he's had in those locker rooms, you feel like you have a guy that can command the room and you can stabilize your offense. You can elevate your offense. You can develop your offense. These are the quarterbacks under Monken right here that you're seeing on the screen. And if this was a hire that was made a year ago after Lamar Jackson had back-to-back first-team All-Pro seasons, I feel like the sentiment would be a lot different. I think the Browns are centering in on that. This is a guy they requested early in the process, and so it does not surprise me that ultimately it was who they chose.
Look, this is one of those where every Browns fan was excited with Udinsky or Schillhouse. Give us something young, give us something fresh. They get Monken, but he does have a great history with quarterbacks. We look to the quarterback room. Is this a Shedeur Sanders hire in your eyes?
Oh, God, no. No, I would say this. If you're Todd Monken, it's the first and really only time that you're going to be a head coach. You're going to handpick your quarterback. You're going to want to go and if this was the one opportunity that you get, and I don't know when that pick will be made or who, and if it's going to be a free agent or a draft pick, but this is the one shot you get. I'm sure Shedeur is going to factor into the conversation at some point. Ravens were entertaining drafting Shedeur last year. Was Todd Monken a person behind that? All of that. But I can't imagine that this is the first opportunity. You said he's 60? First opportunity that I get.
60 next week.
Okay, 60 next week. This is the first opportunity and likely the only opportunity you get. You're not just going to go all in on a 5th-round pick, at least going into his second year. Todd Monken's a really good coach. He spearheaded the best version of Lamar Jackson we've ever seen. We've seen some really good versions of Lamar Jackson, but the year 2 years ago was great. And for those who don't know, he was the offensive coordinator at Georgia when Georgia was winning their national championships. And I would say this, Kirby Smart in the college football playoff is 4-0 with Todd Monken as his offensive coordinator. He's 1-3 without him. There's other parts attached to that, but that's a fact, okay? So he's a good coach. Yeah. I do think it's safe and comfortable by the ownership and the decision. I also think it weakens your strength. Your strength was defense. Now you have a loss of defensive coordinator. You also have your best player, Myles Garrett, probably sitting there once again going, seriously? Again? We're going to do this all over again?
I'm going to look back to Adam because we're going to go back to the New York side of it here. So Harbaugh gets hired 2 weeks ago. Everyone does a parade all the way down Broadway and everything, and everyone just assumes it's Monken. Monken gets hired. I assume they had some other alternatives in their back pocket, and where are they now in the process of now finding an offensive coordinator?
I would not say that they had alternatives in their back pocket. I think it left them scrambling a little bit here. And I think that when you look at all the names that the Philadelphia Eagles have looked to and brought in and talked to, I think those are some of the names on the New York Giants checklist for offensive coordinator. But it was supposed to just be bring in Todd Monken, insert him, offense running. Now you first got to go find the guy. You got to go through the interview process. They're going to talk to a handful of candidates. And I think as of this morning, they don't have any idea where that offensive coordinator hire is going to come from.
The Ravens, the last time they were looking for an offensive coordinator, I think they interviewed 25 different people before.
The Eagles have interviewed 8 offensive coordinators so far. 8.
Okay.
I would be surprised if the Giants aren't talking to a whole bunch of them in the days to come.
The clock is ticking. The combine is right around the corner.
That's heavy.
Coming up, May Day. We're not trying to set any alarms here. However, the Streak may have an issue with his throwing shoulder 10 days before the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about it. Shefty has the latest on that. Patriots fans, you're not going to want to miss it. And then there's this. The Belichick backlash, yes, there's still some meat on the bone there. Tom Brady is mad. He's not the only one. Jimmy Johnson, we're going to get all into it. And we got word from the Hall of Fame. And then there's these guys. Oh, we miss you guys. Farewell. The Bussin' Boys.
Come to work. You know we're working today, guys.
Yeah.
We're going to go live.